welcome to Dogs Down South SEC Summer Preview. We're doing the second of many episodes this summer. I went live last night and did our first two teams. If you haven't already done so, go check out episode 102. But Fish, I got Fish with me. I let everybody know last night, Fish, I said Fish is going to be here with me tonight. We're going to be live. So welcome, Fish. It's good to be reunited. We had a little hiatus after spring. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. Glad to be back. Ready to go.
Yeah, man. We were just talking before we hopped on. It's like it's summer, but right now doesn't feel like summer. I'm in Florida. You're in Georgia. Weird, man. Right?
Yep, definitely, man. But I'm enjoying it. Had windows down a couple of nights ago. Nice cool breeze, cool in the shade, man. I'm loving it. But I know it's not going to last, and it just kind of makes me a little nervous, like what's to come. Like this is just like the calm before the storm, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Well, let's hop right in, man. This is going to be the second of many episodes over the summer where we are really primarily, we get a chance to hop outside of Georgia. We're going to talk Georgia tonight, obviously, but hop outside of just Georgia and talk about the SEC and kind of preview the SEC. Mainly the first few teams are going to be teams that Georgia plays this year. And then we're going to round it out with the 5 or 6 teams that they don't play this year. And in that, we're going to mix a few things in. That'll lead us up to fall camp. And that'll get us to, before we know it, where we are between the hedges and Fish, man, the countdown is on, man, right? So it's summer.
Yeah.
You get that feeling, that it's getting to that time of year where, the grass is starting to smell a little different. I don't know. I'm making stuff up now. It's just getting to feel like.
It all sounds good, though, man.
Right.
It all sounds good.
Right. It's just getting to feel like it's going to be football season. But, man, let's hop right in. Some icebreakers, man. So, Fish, I mentioned last night, and I wanted to get your take on this. So, SEC Coaches Days, Coaches Conference, they call it, happened last week. And some of the big headliners is I wanted to see what your take was on this. What is your take on one of the bigger announcements that ninth game of the season now, right? That last game before rivalry week. Now, Greg Sankey is saying will no longer be an SEC fluff game, that we will play SEC football all the way up until that week. That was a huge thing. So basically 9 games added this year. And then the next year, that game before, you would say Georgia Tech, will now be an SEC game. Whereas now it's like in the past few years, it's been, kind of a snoozer, right? What'd you think about that? What do you think about that added to the mix of what the SEC is doing?
I mean, I like it. Obviously more competition, the better, the more quantity, of, better games that we get, the better, and I won't have to listen to my radio guys down here talk about, cash for clunker games. I don't know why it makes me grind my teeth every time he says that. But, it's good. It's good for the game. And that's what we need right now. We need some good for the game with all the playoff confusion, NIL on Capitol Hill talks and things and all of that nature that's going on right now. We need some better news. We need something good.
Yeah. Speaking of that, that was the second thing they announced, right? There was a lot of talk about, does this expand? Does this playoff expand to 24 teams, 32, 64 with a play-in? I mean, I mentioned it last night. I was like, we're going to keep on going. And one of the biggest things that I mentioned was Mike Elko. I thought I would vote Mike Elko in right now for SEC president. He talked about it. He said, well, you got to think about it. The ACC, the Big 12, and even the Big 10 before the last few years would love for this to go 24, 32. Why? Because it creates job security, right? Because in the NIL industry now, the whole look is like you can get a team in a year or two now, right? And so for coaches, that's unsettling because it's like, oh man, now I got all this money. I get to give it to players and make teams, and now it's a battle for the highest bidder. And oh, by the way, at the end of the day, what is the mark people are looking at for me to be performing or not performing? And a lot of these ACC, Big 10, Big 12 schools are thinking it's make the playoff, right? What do you think about, first off, do you think the 2014 playoff is possible? What do you like? Do you want it to stay 12? What do you think?
I mean, 12 works, 16 even, I would say wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But 24, I don't know. Right now, it just sounds kind of more convoluted than anything. I mean, it's who knows if it's going to be good or not for the game, but it's just the more they talk about it and the more that gets pushed for. I mean, there's just going to be division and controversy. Like Sankey's going to put his foot down. He doesn't want it to go 24. The Big Ten guy is pushing for 24. More representation and all that. And I hear that. And quality football is great. Like we were just talking about, that ninth game is not going to be, we're not going to play UMass next year. We're going to play Mississippi State, Vandy, Tennessee, Kentucky, whoever, you know, and I don't know. I just wish they'd figure it out and let's, pick something, stick with it, let's move on and enjoy the game. Because it seems to be more controversy than anything right now surrounding college football.
Yeah. More or less though, the future of what that 24 and the number 24 keeps coming up. And I mean, like the first daunting thing I said last night, I was like, that just doubles everything going on. And the season already feels last year was like it felt long, right? Into
Yeah.
February.
Well,
Like
it's
we're
that
not used to
3 week
that.
lull, man. It's that
Yeah.
between the SEC or the champion conference champs and championship games and then the first round of the playoffs. There's or before the people who like Georgia had to sit for almost 3 weeks, 3 weeks and a couple of days between the SEC championship and their first round game. Then you come out
Yeah.
rusty, you lose your edge. Like that's the most important thing to me to fit.
Yeah. Well, also, like, you got to look at what is, obviously, 24 teams is going to get rid of, it's going to get rid of conference championships. I think it has to. It very well could start the season earlier, or you have like a week 0. It may get some fluff games out of the way. But also, when you look at, you know, what fluff games are per se in college football right now, is that's how some of these other smaller schools, not only that don't have NIL money, this is how they develop an athletic budget, right? So you take some of that stuff away. But a lot of people are saying that like the SEC controls this because they're like the Big Ten is in, the ACC is in, the Big 12 is in. We obviously know why, because these coaches are like, yeah, I'm good for it, job security. And for people like, you look at the state of Florida and even Georgia, like Georgia Tech, Florida State, Florida, Miami as of last year, but not before that. All these schools would have been begging for it because it's like, if Billy Napier, not that they would have made it, but could Billy Napier have saved his job going, 7-5 and making the playoff? And I don't know how it would be lined up, but, it just seems like, so here's a question for you. Like, what's an acceptable record? Like, what do you think 24 teams, like what kind of records are you seeing skirt in 23, 24 spots?
8 and
Like what do
4,
you think that
7
looks
and
like?
5. Like 8 and 4, 7 and 5. I mean, that's going to happen.
Right.
Because of it would like guarantee seeds, guaranteed spots. This conference gets this many, this conference gets this many. You know, uh, like Notre Dame's thing, if they're ranked in the AP top 10, they're automatically in. Like that's stuff like more things like that, which seem like free passes more than anything. Like you don't have to earn it. And I'm sorry, college football and college basketball aren't the same. St. Mary's isn't going to squeak in at 7-5, line up against Georgia or Clemson or somebody that first week and beat them. There's not going to be Cinderella runs because football, it doesn't work like that. There are upsets every once in a while, like, this team beats the best team in the world, but not like App State, Michigan, you know,
Right.
when's the last time something on that magnitude happened? Like it just doesn't happen with the same frequency. So I don't understand letting like the Conference USA and all that, end unless they're like 11-0, 12-0, because then it makes sense. But if they've got a couple of losses, then what's the point? It's just going to
Right.
be a game that we're trying to get rid of, like the fluff games.
Right.
That's what it's going to be.
Right. And we really hit them all. Like positives, a lot of people are saying are, I'm sorry, the concerns are regular season, does it lose value? And to me, like, I don't know about you, Fish, but like I mean, don't get me wrong, making the playoffs and SEC championship, but we look forward to, the Georgia Alabamas, the Georgia Floridas, the Georgia Auburns, the Georgia Techs, and the season and the camaraderie of the SEC and the home games in Athens and the SEC championship. That's a lot to me, and I'm sure it is to you as well, being a longtime Georgia fan. But like you start to wonder, do those things exist? I mean, do we get to a point where, I mean, if we never thought that we'd be testing, you know, conference championships 2, 3 years ago, but are we going to be testing rivalries? Are we going to be testing? I mean, what's next? Is there no
Exactly.
conferences? Like it could go if this continues to be driven by NIL money and just TV exposure, things of that nature. It just gets weird, man. I mean, the only positives, which I think people could ride the fence on, would be fan bases staying engaged. Okay, um, I'm not. Let me just pull somebody out of the hat. Like, I mean, let's pick on Florida. So, let's say Florida goes six and
It's always
six
fun to
this year. It's like, well, their fans are gonna like. I get what you're saying. Somebody explained to me the other day. They were like basketball and football. They were like, in football, like when you look at basketball and like you can't, like you're just not shooting well that night, right? Don't get me wrong. The outcome's the same. You only get one shot. But if you're not shooting well, the offense changes a little bit. Maybe you go down to the big man a little more. Maybe you do these things, but still, at some point in time, it's still based off of a skill having to happen day in and day out. Whereas football being different is if we're just not catching the ball, we have more options to go. Hey, are we running it? Is the defense scoring? No offense in transition is the same way, but we're talking about chunk plays in football where 7 points makes a big difference rather than a steal in basketball making 2 points and then scoring 80 to 100 points. So yes, drastic difference, completely different sports, and I don't think you can compare them in that nature. But I will say too, it's like in basketball, you know, there's some physicality in it, man. But we're talking about putting on pads and hitting. You know, we're talking about playing 1 or 2 times a week, whereas we're still struggling with the decision to play once a week, and then this year you're only going to have one bye week, and a 9 game SEC schedule.
Yeah,
So
that's
how
right.
much more? And I don't know, man. I mean, I guess they're just trying to look at it and go, well, we're paying athletes. They're looked at as professionals. Maybe we should start treating them like professionals. That was the second thing that said, is it going to feel more like the NFL? And are we rewarding teams with 3 or 4 losses? Like we kind of already are doing that anyway. I mean, I think we could all say, depending on strength of schedule, there's some 3 loss teams that if you look at their schedule comes out right and they lose to the right teams, which is weirdly said, they could make the playoff, right? But maybe more like 4 and 5 loss teams. Because when you look at 24 teams, there's a good shot, man, because they got to find a way to get, Notre Dame's got to get in if they're in the top 25. I mean, they're going to have their deal.
Oh my God, that's
The
stupid.
Power Five conference. I mean, I don't know, man. These conferences get a special treatment. The Big 12's guaranteed to. The SEC's got to get the Big 10 because if not, the Big 10 and the SEC will back out of all media it just gets to be so political and so messed up. It's just like the playoff was a good thing to actually diminish systems that everybody felt like were failing, and now we are trying to diminish systems that we feel like are failing.
Let's go back
But
to the
we're
BCS, man. Screw it.
yeah.
Let's just go back and let the computers handle everything. Let's let AI do it. Let's let AI pick the top 25, and if you don't make it, sorry.
I mean, we're close, man. I mean, are
I,
we? Here's the final question on this playoff thing. Do you feel like we're getting the right national champion every year? I mean, in the
yeah,
playoff, they
yeah.
they had the 4 team, they had the 12 team. Like, do we feel like the past 4 to 5 years we've gotten the right national champion?
I feel like, I mean, yeah.
And
I mean,
I'm sure people are going to be like, well, yeah, you would say that as a Georgia fan. No, really, do we feel like
had
we've
nothing
gotten
to
the
do
right
with
national
that.
champion?
I mean,
Yeah,
you're gonna get favorable runs, or favorable draws, whatever seed you get. One's gonna be harder or, whatever than the other one. And, you're gonna get an easier path. Like Indiana didn't have to play Georgia. Like I wanted to play Indiana. I would have loved to seen us play Indiana, not Ole Miss again. Repeat
yeah.
matchups though are gonna happen. But I mean, it's just the way it lines up. It doesn't really have anything to do with anything else other than just, I mean, and it's always like that. They're doing it by like seeds, like the one plays the 8, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6. You know what I'm saying? 4 and 5 play each other. I mean, that's how it is, and that's how it's been working. And yeah, I mean, I think that's not what's messed up with this whole scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on another fact, and I entered into it before we move on tonight. One of the big things coming out of Coaches Week is Lane Kiffin didn't say much, pretty quiet, right? You would
It
think
should
this
be.
was a platform for him to continue his banter and things of that nature. But, I think for me, and I'll let you chime in on this before we move on. I think for me, I think some of these coaches are realizing this year that now they have these ponied up contracts, they have these ponied up NIL deals, and they went out and bought players and wrecked the recruiting world and nickel and dimed it here and there and made stupid decisions and probably texted when they shouldn't to contact, do all this stuff. You can name all of it. And I think some of these coaches are now going, wait a minute, we got to go out there and play this year, right? This is a different story. These NIL budgets are getting ridiculous. I mentioned that nobody is saying Sarkeesian's on the hot seat, but why would you not be? I'm looking at Lane Kiffin with all the pressure on him with, you leave Ole Miss, you talk a bunch of crap, you get $40+ million to go spend money, 30 of it guaranteed. Um, the other's going to be rev share, so we don't really know what that number is. You get your coaching staff. I think I mentioned Les Miles last night, which they may be paying Les Miles still, but Brian
Maybe.
Kelly was what I meant to say. But
Yeah.
hell, for all we know, they're paying Les Miles and Brian Kelly.
Ed Ogeron, all of them still
Ed
getting a little
Ogeron. I
something.
mean, Ed Ogeron's coming back. Did you hear that news? Was hired by Lane Kiffin at LSU to be a
Oh,
special coach, a special coach, a special assistant to the head coach.
I thought I saw something about
I
that
don't know what that
on
means.
the news the other day, but yeah, okay. That's
I saw
crazy.
somebody be like, "What is he going to be making? Because he's still making money
I
from
thought I was just
LSU."
late
So,
night watching Sports Center and I saw something that I just got confused about, like right before I went to sleep.
nah, man, you saw it. Coach O, Coach
No way.
O, back in the Coach O in the building. A round of applause, everyone. I just had to try that out, man. We got these new buttons, man. I'm like, we got to do this stuff, man.
Well, that's
Coach
funny.
O. Have you seen the Hummer commercial with Coach O, man? It's like, have you seen this thing? YouTube? They did like a Hummer commercial. It was like, the line is like, you get a Hummer? I get a Hummer? Everybody gets a Hummer. And it's like everybody. Okay, I had to tell another joke, man. Just that. That commercial's real though. That commercial's real. Go check it out on YouTube.
I will.
Give
It's gonna
Coach
be the
O
first
some
thing I do when we're done. Don't worry.
give Coach O some looks, man. Because if he's not selling Hummers, LSU's paying him $100,000, and it might be an addendum to what he's still making. Who knows, man? I have no idea. But to say all this, Fish, like, what do you think about? I mean, the pressure now. I mean, we replaced over. I heard the number is over 30 new coaches in college football this year.
It's a
How
high number.
much more pressure is on these coaches now? Because there's no longer a rebuilding year, is there? I mean, is there really? So how much pressure is on these coaches? And used to be when you get to a certain place, you'd be like, all right, you breathe a little bit, you unpack your house, your family starts to go to school and they start loving the place. And I don't know, man. Some of these coaches, I mean, they might need to just keep some boxes around. I don't know, man. What do you think about all this?
It's all about who's available to, like what coaches are going to be out there when, I mean, loyalty still exists in some aspects, but I mean, now it's like, I'm sure Lane and LSU had some sort of conversation or something when they pulled the trigger early. And then towards the end of the year, everybody started pulling the trigger, and going after the same few guys. Because honestly, this year was actually kind of kind of a good year if you were going to fire your coach, to hire a new coach. Seemed like there were a lot of hot guys, that sounds funny, but you know what I mean.
Right?
a lot of hot, anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Popular coaches. Anyway,
Dude, I'm getting all my sound effects in. This is gonna
dude,
be
I
great.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But
Um,
you know,
yeah, get what you're saying.
it's just, I don't know. But when they expand the playoff, then the more forgiveness, we're going to get. And I think after you win a national championship, you've got a couple of years maybe to rebuild if you have to, but you get a free pass because you just won a national championship. But if you don't
Right.
and you're not like competing, you can't get out of the first round of the playoffs, you know, then yeah, like you're definitely on the hot seat. Even if you make it, it doesn't matter, but you got to get through that first round, I think. That's why Jeff Franklin got fired as soon as he did, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll ask you this just before we head into our couple teams that we're going to cover tonight. I said this. I've echoed SEC Mike on that SEC podcast, and I said it. I'm like, man, I think he's reading my notes. We both agree on this, but would you agree that with Steve Sarkisian and the fact that this offense has took a step back every single year under Steve Sarkisian, after with having Quinn Ewers and after him having Arch Manning, and um, after they blow through and they blame it on the D coordinator, they go get Will Muschamp, and maybe they're betting on Georgia pedigree here. If they can't beat them, go find them and see if we can kind of get like them. You spend 40 plus $1 million. You go get Cam Coleman. You had Ryan Wingo. You bolster the offensive line. You go get Hollywood Smothers. I mean, you do everything you possibly can to go out and say, look, this is the year. If Steve Sarkisian, let's just put it this way. I've got two questions for you. Number one, if Steve Sarkisian does not make the playoff, what do you think happens to Steve Sarkisian?
He's fired.
Really?
Texas has spent way too much money, dude. They won't return on investment, and they're not getting it. And I think they've given him everything they could possibly give him. There's no excuse this year. No excuse, especially not to make the playoff, not much less win the Natty.
Sorry for it. Scarcely agree with you. Like I think that Texas is not. If you don't make the playoff, now there's a scene where I think he's hot seat, right? If he repeats we entered the playoff and we, only won, we didn't win a game in the playoffs, which believe me, we're just speaking from terms of opinions here. Like I'm not, if this plays back and we clip this and it goes on somewhere, I can only see where it's like what Georgia needs to figure that out too. Okay, I get it. You're right. But like also Kirby Smart's not out there spending $40 plus million on his players, right? Like if they go in and win one game, if they go in and don't win a game, is it hot seat or is he gone? Is it just hot seat? Is it a stern, hey, get your crap together or you're gone? Is he the hottest seat in the SEC?
Well, I mean, Sarkisian also can't say that he's won back-to-back SEC championships a couple years after winning back-to-back national championships. Like, so come at me, bro.
I agree.
Like
I totally agree with that statement.
Kirby C, he's down in Antarctica sitting on an igloo. He's fine.
Kirby's playing. I don't know what Kirby's doing right now, man. Some people says that he, how he creates margin in the summer is pretty interesting. I know he spends a lot of quality time with his kids, and I've seen multiple things this year of him at track meets with his daughter, and obviously he used to follow his son a lot for a lot of summer baseball stuff, and so but I know he's a big time advocate for quality time in the summer, obviously because it is very tough in the fall, and I mean, heck, for these coaches everywhere, it's year round now. So, but you might be right, man. An igloo sounds about right for Kirby. Like he would just want to be in the complete opposite. I don't know if maybe somewhere a little warm with a daiquiri and maybe some Georgia bathing suit on. I don't know. Maybe the golf club in hand. I don't know. Although he mentioned before a golf tournament a couple weeks ago that he's like, I'm not hitting it as far and I'm not hitting it as well as I used to. And somebody mentioned they were like, well, if you do what Nick Saban did, you can focus more on golf and less on And everybody was like, all the Georgians were like, whoa, whoa, buddy, whoa,
No,
too soon,
no,
too soon.
easy, easy.
So,
Pump
yeah.
the
All
brakes there, buddy.
right, Fish. Well, let's hop in, man. SEC summer preview. We are tackling. I thought it would be good to tackle Auburn. Why? Because I know you have some Auburn faithful in and around your family. And
Yep,
so, what a better way to create controversy and for me to stir the pot
there you
in
go.
your family than to talk about Auburn. I usually get to do this with some Auburn peeps, but I was like, man, let's do this with Fish because, I mean, if anybody's closer to knowing what Auburn's going to do this year, maybe you can have like a family playback of this in the next couple of
There
days.
you go.
But obviously Auburn's coming in this year. Big high expectations. Around this time last year, as we talk about golfing, Hugh Freeze was golfing way more than he was coaching. He came in, they had a pretty abysmal year last year, had some close takes, but no cigars, and found themselves back in the same predicament. And Auburn decided to move on from Hugh Freeze, and now we are at Alex Golish from USF, who brings in a ton of talent from USF. Because why? Because you can do that in NIL. You can bring half of your team and offer them a lot of money and rebuild very quickly. So let's talk about really quick about Auburn. What's your just first outlook on Auburn, Fish? Like, what do you think, from the outside looking in for this year? You think this is going to be an improved team? What do you think Alex Golish brings to this team? And how do you think, just from an overall organic standpoint, that Auburn's going to do this year?
Better than they have been, better than last year. I think the quarterback situation, getting that figured out, it was priority number one. And I think, eh, we're going to have to wait and see, but I think he's, made some good strides in that direction. We know the defense with Durkett is going to be awesome, or it's going to be good. It's going to be top 5 or 6 in the SEC. I mean, always you can count on that. Um, uh, Brought in some good transfers. Lost a bunch on that defense too. I mean, we know for sure they lost a beast, and unfortunately, he hurt himself this year and probably ain't going to make it this season. And Amarius Williams, and that was a big loss for them too. We both had to lose him this
Right.
offseason. Had him, lost him. I'm looking forward to them having 8 wins this year. I'm going 8 wins, and if it was a 24 game playoff season, they'd probably be in the playoff. Alex
Oh,
Golders, year one.
wow. Wow. Okay. Let's tear into that a little bit. So obviously a lot of college football outlets, preseason magazines, things of that nature, have them ranked somewhere between 36 and 39 nationally starting the year. They're picked to finish 12th in the SEC. This is not my picks. This is just, the couple of college football preview magazines that I've looked at. Obviously, you hit the nail on the head. I think Byron Brown will be huge, right? And when you look back at spring, everybody looked at spring and was like, man, I mean, if that's what we got to look forward to. This is questionable, but we all know that it's odd sometimes in how teams prepare for spring. You had new offensive coordinator. You had Golish. You had a lot of new players coming in. You had Brown, who we all know that you're not going to let Byron Brown run around the field during scrimmaging during spring
No,
practice. So
no.
I don't know if you saw a good take on what it's really going to look like, but I think you can trust Byron Brown. Tenure as far as in college. I mean, as a senior, you don't see many seniors still snapping the ball in college if they have talent. And so you will this year. But, some things around them that still are um, notables. Jeremiah Cobb at running back was a huge bright spot for Auburn last year. So I think being able to add a little bit better of an offensive line. I think Cobb with another year, this is another senior running back coming in. Obviously the loss of Ken Coleman, but when you look at Keyshawn Singleton, you look at Chaz Nimrod, Jeremiah Coger. If you look at these guys that are coming in and going to take some of those minutes next year in this Alex Golish offense, like you got to think automatically, right? mixed with DJ Durkin's defense, this is going to get better, right? I mean, this is Alex Golish's offense, DJ Durkin's defense. This is an automatic get better. The defense alone, I mean, although losing some names, some key names on there. If you remember, Sylvester Smith-Reed, you got Xavier Atkins, the big linebacker, Caleb Harris, the safety. I mean, this team still has a lot of bright spots. And then if we pull the record, now these are two different records from two different years. You're looking at what's ahead and what's behind us. You look at Baylor, 38-24 last year, won that game. But then they're going to play Baylor this year, and they should have got Baylor at home. And we've talked about this again, but man, opportunity to just start out Golish's career, down in
Big
Auburn.
home win, prime time.
Yeah.
Would have been awesome.
So it's not going to happen, but you got Baylor in Atlanta. You got Southern Miss at home, Florida at home, Vanderbilt at home. Then on October 3rd, you're heading to Tennessee. On the 17th, you're heading to Georgia. 24th, you're home against LSU. The 31st, you're at Ole Miss. November 7th, you're at home against Arkansas. The 14th, you're at Mississippi State. 21st, Samford. And then the 28th at Alabama. So what you just heard was the gauntlet of October, right? Man, October could make or break this season. You got at Tennessee, at Georgia, home against LSU, at Ole Miss. So you're probably playing at three of the louder, more challenging venues in the SEC as of late, right? So a lot going on here, right? But let's just talk real quick. So when you look at Auburn, though, Fish, and you talk about how they're going to be better, what's going to make them? What's a couple of things that are going to make them different? What's Alex Golish, Brown, and some of this offense and defense mindset? How's it going to be different than when, the golfer Hugh Freeze was hanging out with the team?
Just the way they're getting coached, and it's going to be more not strict, but maybe uniform, I guess. One mind, one person calling plays. That's already going to be big. Hugh Freeze, I don't know. Sometimes he would just seem lost over there on the sideline, and he would just the camera would hit him, and then he'd just be somewhere else, his mind, he's just in space somewhere, and he's not really he just loses focus for a minute and he has to shake his head and come back to reality and regather his thoughts and everything. And football moves way too fast for that. And I just think his offense just, he had a few good years at Ole Miss and, Liberty even before he went to Auburn, right? Wasn't it Liberty that he was at?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it just didn't work out for him. Jackson Arnold was a terrible, terrible, terrible. It's he seemed to have gotten worse throughout the season. Nothing really worked for them, except the defense. And the defense, as good as they were, could not save them from themselves, ultimately in the end, but
Jackson Arnold's still playing, man. He's going to be starting for Dan Mullen in UNLV this year. Crazy,
really?
Right?
Well, watch him go out there and just be 4,000 yards.
I mean, do you ever think that Hugh Freeze is why did I leave Liberty?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think a lot of people, a lot of Auburn fans feel that same way too, probably.
I mean, he's probably okay, I can go out there at Liberty and I can just win 7, 8 games in a conference that winning 8 games is doable, if not more, every year. School that is still admiring him for the fact that he was a big-time D1 coach and big-time D1 offense at Ole Miss and all the just everything going for him, man. And he's you bite off I guess what you would call the college football Hollywood banter. You go take a stab at it and here you are, right?
This didn't work out.
I feel bad for him just because too, his health problems were a thing. And we don't know all the stories. Auburn fans will drag him through the mud. I mean, we even do in a fun way, but I don't know what he's going through, man. But I just know that when I look back at it, hindsight, if he knew this was going to happen, I don't think he would have left Liberty with those health problems.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so
he
either.
would have. I think he would have stayed. I think him and his family would have called it a day, and he would have. I don't know. He would have coached at Liberty. Maybe went from there and coached high school football somewhere, and uh, maybe just went to the booth. And that could be the way he's going. Who knows? I mean, we might see Hugh Freeze in the booth in the next few years.
True.
I mean,
They gave Russell
that's
Wilson
what
a job, so sure. Why not?
man. Russell Wilson and the quarterback who hung around too long, and the coach who coached too less. I don't know.
Way, dude.
Um, but let's seal the deal here. Adding to what you were saying, like I personally think that two things. I think there's never been more pressure on Byron Brown. Why? Because I think that, you know, Auburn for a long, long time has been trying to find the offense, right? That will get them to where they need to go. Um, in my humble opinion, I think that that's where it's going to stem from this year. Can Byron Brown, can Alex Golish get the offense where it needs to go? And they're trusting that DJ Durkin and the defense can continue what it's done in the past. And if it hits, this could be a good year for Auburn. Do you think so? First off, before we hit there, the season totals and what we think they'll look like. Do you feel like this is a year where Auburn could vie for a playoff? Is that what I heard you say?
Well, I mean, if it was a 24 game playoff, that's what I was saying. Like if we were extended, you know, because the criteria is going to be a little different. But no, not year one, 12 game playoff. No, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
I mean, who would we call them? Like, I mean, could they be the Indiana of? I mean, dude, Kirk Signetti. Here's another thing. I don't mean to go too far off topic, man. Do you see where Signetti is on the front cover of 27 for the $100 edition or whatever the big edition is? Signetti, man.
Really? Well, I
Yeah,
won't be
him and
buying
a
that
bunch
one.
of like athletes behind him, and I'm like, sure, he only got that because Kirby turned it down, right?
I'm sure, right? That's got
Had
to
to
be
be,
the
right?
only reason. That's got to be the only reason. It's the only
Had to be.
reasonable explanation.
100% had to be. All right, let's go through the schedule real quick. September 5th, Baylor. Um, I got him. I got him beating Baylor in Atlanta. I mean, I feel good about that. DJ Lagway, but you get a first chance to see Dave Aranda defense versus this Alex Golish offense. Neutral site, Atlanta. There'll be a lot of Auburn fans there. I got him winning that game. I got him beating Southern Miss. I got them 2-0 at home versus Florida. Now, here's the crazy thing is if they can beat Florida at home, Florida's interesting, right? Because I do feel like that Auburn was trending towards Summerall when Florida was trending towards Kiffin, right?
That was word around the
So
campfire.
so a little what do you call it? A little bulletin board material for Auburn to be like, hey man, like this guy didn't believe in you, right? He wanted the Florida job all alone. So you got Florida coming to Auburn. This place will be nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
Like if they're 2-0 playing Florida, um, you know, at Auburn, the Plains is going to be nuts. I can see this being a night game.
Oh,
I
it
can
better be.
see, yeah, I mean, I can
It
see the
better be.
ghosts
Especially if they
coming
beat
out.
Baylor week one. If they beat Baylor, it's definitely going to be a night game because they'll be 2-0 riding into that game. And
Right?
what is Florida's first two games? They'll probably be 2-0 too when they get there.
Yeah, Florida will be two. Florida will be two. This could be a great scene, man. I mean, two Summerall versus Golish. These coaches could have been at you know different schools. I mean, the only Florida would know, but I bantered around with this last night. I was like, well, Golish to Florida is not off the beaten path because he recruited that area right down in Tampa very well and had some really good teams at USF. I mean, we're going to see half of them this year at Auburn, but um, so I don't know, man. And it could stack up really well. But let's play around a little bit. Let's say Auburn does beat Florida. I think they can handle Vanderbilt at home. You got a Florida team going down on October 3rd to Rocky Top you got an Auburn team going down to Rocky Top on October 3rd, 4-0, right? And then we get even regardless of if Auburn's 4-0 or they lose to Tennessee and 4-1, then they come to Georgia with either a 500 record or, for all we know, 4-1. And so it could be. I say all this to say the Georgia game is going to be a pretty interesting game because I think it could send. I could think it send Auburn to where everybody thinks they will be this year, which is middle of the pack, back into the pack, or they can kind of put them towards that way, right? Um, so, but logistically, like in that at Tennessee, at Georgia, LSU, at Ole Miss, do you see them winning any of those games?
Well, I definitely I have a little personal interest in this because I would love for them to be 5-0 going into Georgia
Okay,
because I'll be at that game and I want it to be a night game because I'm taking the kids and I want it to be their first Sanford after dark, experience because it's going to be nuts, you know. But realistically, 4-1 I think is where they're going to be. I think they beat Florida. And Vandy, I think Jared Curtis. I don't think the hype is well. Not I don't know. I just think Vandy's not gonna. I think they're going to be disappointed this year. Um, but yeah, I would love for them to be 4-1 or 5-0 going into that in the Athens. LSU, who knows? Because we don't know what we're getting with
at
LSU yet.
LSU, at
Yeah,
LSU,
is it at LSU? See,
LSU.
see, that's a little different. That's a gauntlet, dude. You got Sanford Stadium, Death Valley, and Rocky Top in the same month. Road games, dude. That's tough. That's
Yeah,
like
let's.
Georgia's road schedule a couple of years ago.
Yeah, let's get real, man. I mean, let's call it like I think that most people are calling it because we're going to probably go back and we're going to pick these games later on, right? So by then, we're going to be like everybody else. We're going to be able to see them, things of that nature. But I think I think they are. I think they're 4 and. I think they're 3-1 going into Tennessee. I think they lose that game 3-2. I don't know though. I mean, I couldn't tell you. If I had to tell you the one that's up in the air for me is at Tennessee because right now I don't know what Jim Knowles. I mean, Tennessee's going to be interesting when we go through Tennessee because I'm the ones that are like, what has Tennessee shown us? They don't have a quarterback. I mean, they have a lot to talk about with this freshman coming in. I think his last name's Frazier or something like that. Jim Knowles defense, running back returning, Heupel. I mean, a lot of things with Tennessee, but as of right now, I mean, I think maybe Auburn could beat Tennessee. So let's say they do. I give them. I got more of a chance of them beating Tennessee at Tennessee than actually beating uh, Florida at home right now.
Wow.
Just right now.
Wow. Yeah.
I think they lose to Georgia, lose to LSU, they lose to Ole Miss, they beat Arkansas, they beat Mississippi State, and they're home free until Iron Bowl, right? So I think you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, I
They're
think
at Ole Miss too. They
they're at
played
Ole
4 road
Miss.
games in a row.
No, LSU is in the. I'm sorry, LSU's at home. I'm sorry, that
Okay.
is the home game.
All right. See, that's a little different.
That's the home.
That's a little different. You
I
know,
think 8-4 is it's 7-5 if they don't lose to Florida, and it's 8-4 if they. It's 9-3 if they beat Florida and can pull off the Iron Bowl. Because I just don't think they get through somewhere in there at Tennessee, at Georgia, without two. I don't think there's 2 wins in there. At Georgia, at Tennessee, home against LSU, at Ole Miss. Um, yeah, I don't think so. I think 9-3 is if you beat Florida and you win the Iron Bowl, which is doable this year. We're going to talk Alabama later, but
very true.
I'm not as high on Alabama. Keelan Russell. I'm just gonna have to see what he's looking like, bro. I mean, I've seen
Exactly.
a lot, heard a lot, but once again, don't know a lot. Um, but I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna give Golish the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna give him 8-4. I want to see him 8-4 this year.
Me
Um,
too.
I think the losses come Baylor, Tennessee, Baylor, Tennessee, Georgia, LSU. Nah, it's got to be. They got to beat Tennessee, man. I don't see it happening. I think that their 3 game stretches of losses are Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee. That's 4 right there. It could be a bloody October and then be 8-4. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it
They
really could be.
they have to survive that month. That's a tough, tough month. That's like murderer's row. Like
Uh-huh.
that's tough.
And here's the thing for Golish. that will look very good. That'll look productive. I mean, if you go out and you're 4-0, going into that gauntlet, and you're going to get a lot of flack, although people are going to understand because they're like, oh, look, it's like, it's LSU. But then you come in and you do what you're supposed to do. You take care of business first year under him. You beat Mississippi State like you're supposed to. You beat Arkansas. You obviously beat Sanford. And then you go win Iron Bowl at Alabama. Golish finishes king. 8-4,
that's
productive
tough.
first year.
That's tough.
I think he can beat Alabama. I'm just telling you.
I think he
they
can
could have
too.
beat Alabama they could have beat him this past year if they had an offense and a coach. That
Tell you
matter.
what, we better take ourselves to Tuscaloosa and come out of there with a dub. I am
Yeah.
tired of losing to them in the regular season, bro.
Tyrant is the name of the game. Fish, for time's sake, let's move on. The second team we're going to cover tonight is we're going to talk about those Kentucky Wildcats. First, Captain Obvious is no Mark Stoops, right?
Yep.
So let's start right there. No Mark Stoops. There's been so many years that we've covered Kentucky, and it's like, man, Will Stein comes in and immediately, kind of like Alex Golish, it's like, if you can provide an offense to Kentucky, can the defense continue to be elite, and can Kentucky do something? That's the golden question. So organically, I asked you this earlier, what do you think is going to be different, if anything, about Kentucky this year? What do you like? What do you dislike? What do you think about Kentucky this year on it?
I like here new look Kentucky, with the new coach and everything. They're gonna look different. It's gonna be different. It might, I don't know. Well, I know we were talking about rebuilding years earlier, but this feels more like a rebuild or a reset. There we go, a reset for Kentucky, more so than Auburn, because you've got the familiarity and the, confidence in DJ Durkett and Auburn, and so you know what you're getting out, at least one side of the ball. In Kentucky, it's kind of a who knows feeling I
Right.
get. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's hard to put your finger on them. They're almost a mystery because you're not sure. I mean, we don't know anything about anybody until they start actually playing the games. Well, we think we do. We think we know, but teams right here around this level, this tier of the SEC are kind of hard. It's like, they could put a good run together, and win a few games they're not supposed to, and end up with a better record than they should have, or than they're predicted to have. Um, I don't know. Like, new coach, I know it's going to be a fresh start, fresh look. They're going to feel different. I know you're happy you don't have to stay, see Mark Stoops on the sideline anymore, because you were calling for his job 2 years ago when we first started this thing, 102 episodes ago.
He's just another Texas commodity that Sark needs to be scared about. Like, I'd be scared to be adding all these names, dude. You're just bolstering something that, if you can't produce, like, it's
It's going to
giving
look
you another
bad.
reason why you don't need to be there, right?
Exactly. That's why I feel like if he doesn't produce this year, he's gone, man. And it
Right.
might not be public information. They might not be saying it. ESPN's not talking about it, but why would they be? Because it sounds
Right.
crazy, but that's because it is crazy. All
Right.
this man has all these resources, more resources than probably anyone else ought to have. And,
Yeah.
if you can't do something with it, give me back the keys. See you later.
Right.
Go be an
Right.
OC somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of how it rolls, right? It's all a big hamster wheel, man. The big get, they brought Kenny Minchie in from Notre Dame. They claimed that him and Carr were neck and neck up at Notre Dame. It was tough. Minchie bows out, goes and takes some money, and going to run the roost at Kentucky. C.J. Baxter coming in at running back. You may recognize that name from Texas last year. People like Willie Rodriguez at tight end, big names, some wide receiver names you might want to listen out for, because Stein is known to throw it around the field. Nick Anderson, Shane Carr, DJ Miller. They went out and they clipped one of the best. I mean, they had the NIL money and the funding to go get Lance Hurd from Tennessee. That was a big
Wow.
get.
Yeah,
Um,
that's huge.
and the defense returns the most of either side of the ball, which is encouraging, right? Humphrey Grace is returning. Sam Green, the big linebacker. Tyron Nichols, Ty Bryant, the big safety. The defense looks like. And listen, I'm building Kentucky up. Just tell you though that I don't know. I don't know if you got all the positives for Will Stein, and you want to see year one. But then I look at this, I look at this schedule, and I'm like, dear God, man, like
Brutal.
where's the wins at, right?
It's brutal.
Youngstown State, you got Alabama at home, you got to go to Texas A&M, South Alabama, at South Carolina, LSU, at Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, at Tennessee, Florida, at Missouri, Louisville. A lot of ats, right? They are away from Kroger Field a lot this year. The two home games they get there are Youngstown State and South Alabama. The only other important one, in my opinion, that they get, and I say important ones they get, are Alabama and Florida. But they got to go to South Carolina. They got to go to Oklahoma. They got to go to Tennessee. They got to go to Missouri, right? And Louisville has been a problem for them no matter what, right? So I don't have them at the bottom of the SEC. So just for curiosity, a lot of sports writers are ranking them 43rd to 47th nationally, and then SEC wise right behind Auburn at 13, which is interestingly high. That's, I guess, presuming that Mississippi State, who I covered last night, who I have at the bottom of the barrel at 16, Arkansas, which I will cover later on, but I'm assuming that they're kind of in line with the fact that they have them at 15. But that's eerily enough saying, like, who did they put at, who did they put at 14? My guess could only, I mean, what was your guess? I mean, I hadn't even looked at it. Like, who do you think they put at 14? I can't even think
Vandy.
right now. No, they have Vandy at 11, actually.
Really?
It's crazy. You got me looking now. You got me looking. Oh, they had South Carolina, man. South Carolina's crazy. That's for another
Really?
show. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. That's not where I have South Carolina. But
Me either.
very weird. I don't know if some
is.
of you guys follow this, but Lindy's is a very interesting sports magazine, but they are the more detailed when it comes down to stats and lineups and things of that nature. But I was telling Fish that Athlon is a little bit more true to form as far as calling the where teams are going to finish. But let's look through games real quick, because we're going to finish it out with a little all Kirby Smart team, which is going to be fun. But Youngstown State at Alabama, I just think Youngstown better be a win, right? Alabama is going to probably be a loss. At Texas A&M is going to be a loss. South Alabama should be a win. That's 2-2. At South Carolina, man, it would go a long way for Stein. It would go a short way for Shane Beamer to start his exit out the door if Kentucky beats him at home. But let's just say Beamer wins, right? So you're looking at right now, you're looking at 2-3. LSU's a loss, 2-4. At Oklahoma's 2-5. Vandy's 2-6. At Tennessee's 2-7. Florida's 2-8. At Missouri, I'm struggling to find 3 wins, and that's giving them the Louisville. That's giving them the Louisville win, right? And I don't know if that's going to be that easy. Is there a game I mean, do you think if they're going to get the third SEC win, who's it going to be between? You think it's going to be between Missouri or Vanderbilt? Yeah, or Florida?
Nah,
I mean, who do you think out of those 3?
Vandy or Missouri. Missouri. I don't know if they're going to beat Missouri. I don't have a lot of faith in Vandy this year. I think it was all Pavia. And I hate to say that last year. I mean, they got a great coach. Don't get me wrong. The man can do a lot with a little, and that's for sure. But I just don't. I think Curtis is going to let him down this year. And yes, I'm salty, but that's okay. I can be.
I'll give you a little stinger that I heard about Vandy before we cover him the next few weeks. Is I heard the comedian Nate Bergantz. Is it Bergancy?
Yeah.
I heard that part of the reason why
don't like him.
It was another like layer of NIL, and I don't even know if it's legal, but I heard that he told him, "Hey man, come to Vanderbilt. I'll put you in a movie. I'll put you in there. We'll do this. And apparently he's in a movie that's coming out with Nate Bergant. Is it Bergancy or Bergant?
It's something. That's a lot of letters.
There you go. But yeah, man. So Kentucky, I mean, I think they will look improved in a lot of areas, and it's a good step. I think the offense will be interesting to watch. Any offense Kentucky fields this year is going to be a positive to what has been fielded in the last few years.
Man,
But
lean
I
on
think all
Baxter.
that adds up to a much tougher SEC with NIL and everything going on, and it's going to be hard to find that third win in the SEC. For me, it's more like it's going to be hard to find the SEC win. It reminds me of
Yep.
Mississippi State last year. Like, who's
Yeah.
the SEC win, right?
Yep. Exactly.
All right,
They're gonna have
Fish.
to
With the
lean on
time we
Baxter
have
a lot,
left,
man.
man. With the time we have left, man. We've been trying to do this for like weeks, right? But I thought we should do an all Kirby Smart team, um, and what it would look like, what yours would look like, and if ours are the same. I know I gave a little bit of a prototype to you, and remember, for a lot of fans that are going to listen to this, this is all Kirby Smart, right? This is not all Georgia. This is not all Mark. It's all,
So
you
calm
know,
down.
yeah, all Kirby Smart. So
We're not forgetting anybody.
Fish, let's see if we have any differences in who we have. Okay. Now, I know I sent you out a little bit of a list that was generated, but I did add some different names to mine. But let's go from least, I don't say least important, but least interesting to more interesting, right? So no, I'm just playing. There's another list. So let's look at the star position and let's see if we're the same. Who do you have all Kirby Smart at the star position, Fish? Remember, I know this hurts you, man, because it's all Kirby Smart. And I know the Georgia fan you are. You're like, I know who I'd want there.
I mean, Tyke Smith is a good one. I know that's on the list, and that's actually, I don't know, man, kind of hard pressed actually to find, in my opinion, somebody who was a better contributor there. He's physical, he was quick, he had good ball skills. He was a part of one of the best defenses I think we've ever had, as a whole. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a good one. I think Tyke Smith works for me.
I had Tyke second. Now, I know this guy played a couple different positions, but he did play star a little bit. But I had Javon Bullard. I pulled Bullard out. Bullard did play star a little bit. The things that caught me for Bullard were I always loved how Bullard was a very, very much so an elite blitzer, right? Physical run defender, which Tyke was as well. Excellent in coverage. And I felt like Bullard was a big game performer. Now I do know Bullard played a couple different positions. He played safety for a little while, things of that nature. But in Kirby's defense, he did line up there a good amount of time as well. But I have Bullard. But listen, Tyke's right behind him, and I'm very fond of Tyke. Obviously, I'm a Georgia fan, but you see him repping my Tampa Bay Rays gear tonight. Shout out the Rays. We are lowest paid salary. I think Aaron Judge makes more than the entire team, and we have a better record than the Yankees right now.
Wow,
So,
nice. So do the Braves.
um,
So yes, sir.
so yeah, the Braves doing well too. I heard. I repped the Braves
Braves are
gear
doing
last
really
night.
good.
Yeah, I repped my Braves gear last night. I still have fond memories of. It's just I have more fond memories of the Sid Bream days than
Yeah,
than
me
right
too.
now.
I'm right there with you, man. Dave Justice, Ryan Gant. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go, right there, man. Let's go. Let's move on to real quick. Let's get these back to back. What about safeties? I know Bullard's on here as a safety in some areas, but who do you got at safeties? Who you got at free and strong? Curious to see if ours match up.
Okay, well, and it's it's not that I don't want to be original, but okay, I fell in love with Malachi, okay,
Uh-huh.
and his first game, that Oregon game, freshman, one of the best interceptions I've ever seen. And right then, me and everyone watching the game was like, that kid's special. And he actually turned out to be. And he had a great freshman year, sophomore year. His third year, he was having to do a lot of he was doing a lot of different things. He couldn't just focus on his position. He had to play in a few different spots, and Kirby was asking a lot from him. So his numbers might not, in that season, might not seem like his norm. But, I think it was just because of everything that he was being asked to do. He was he was basically the quarterback back there, that year,
Mhm.
because he didn't have much help. I think he had a young KJ. That was KJ's freshman year. So, he had to do a lot. But I'm going him and Bullard, man. Who can forget that game saving hit that everyone thinks, Ohio State got robbed on, man, but that was a clean lick. I don't care who you are. And so
Bullard
he
will
will
be defending that for the rest of his life.
always be one of my favorite. And I like watching him play in the NFL too, man. He plays for Green Bay. He starts. He's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's I like it. I like me and you are on board with Malachi. I love. I mean, if I had an honorable mention, I have a lot of love for KJ. Man, I have a lot of love for these safeties that come in and play early. That's why Malachi is probably on both of our lists. But the person that's not on these lists for both of us that I really loved was Lewis Scene. Man, like man, the dude
He
just
could
hit,
lay
dude.
some wood, dude. Oh my
He
God.
just hit, bro, and that
I
reminded
love
me
it.
of one of my favorite safeties that come through Georgia, which was Greg Blue. He reminded me a lot of Greg Blue,
Yeah.
and
Ooh,
so
him and
I would
Thomas
add Lewis
Davis back
Seen.
there at the same time, dude. Ooh,
Oh man, crazy.
over.
So those are my two, and man, but I will tell you, KJ and Bullard and Tyke in that little rotation, man, is
I hear
all
you.
very similar for me. Let's move up into cornerback. What do you actually? Let's just float around. Let's still do this. Let's move into cornerback. Um, you know, a lot of cornerbacks to talk about to come through, but one of these I think we're going to agree with. We may disagree with the other one, but who do you got as your two cornerbacks?
Uh, I'm gonna stick with the list. And DeAndre Baker was one of my favorite guys. He was I think one of the best defenders we've had since the Champ Bailey days, as far as his ability to cover. He was fast. He never got burnt. Like he has a very, very high football IQ, and I think he got a bum deal in the NFL. With the way things went down for him, I feel really bad because he could have had a brilliant career, and that just kind of derailed all his momentum and everything. All that whole situation was screwy. And I like Kamari there too. Don't throw the
Yeah,
ball at him either.
yeah,
And he's in the
yeah,
NFL doing his thing for Houston right now, and like he was great. He was on one of our like legendary defenses too. I mean, you can't go wrong there. I
yeah,
loved me some Kamari.
yeah. Kamari's great, man. It just, man, it's so good to see these guys going into the NFL and how ready they are, man.
I love it, man. I love it.
It's just like it recruits itself, and it just gives me. I mean, not to break out into middle of the Kirby Smart team, but like, a lot of people are looking at like where we're at right now in recruiting and things of that nature, and it's like it's gonna be fine. Like, it's literally gonna be fine.
Trust
I
Kirby.
just don't know if people understand how well Georgia recruits. It is. I've heard from recruits, not them personally, obviously, but just a masterpiece of how the feeling of when they're on campus visiting um, to day one when they're there and their parents show up, it's all the same, man. That's the thing that jumps out at them. It's like, you know, I'll never forget. Have you ever seen the movie The Program? Do you remember that movie? You ever watch The
Bro,
Program?
love that movie.
Yeah. What'd you notice about recruiting, right? When Darnell Jefferson shows up, the cheerleaders are there, all this, and this. And then when you come back and you get off was it Joe? What's his last name? What was
Uh,
Joe's last name, dude?
I'm trying to. It's been a minute since
Anyways,
I've seen it.
the quarterback's the only one waiting on him. There's nobody out there. There's nobody in school. And he's like, man, when I was being recruited, like this looked a whole lot better, right?
Yeah,
But that's how it is, right?
the reality of
It's
the
real.
situation.
Yeah, but it's real. Like the same love, the same support, the same care, the staff, engagement, the players, like it's real there. And I'm sure it's real at a lot of other schools. I'm not taking that away, but it's encouraging. And then when you step into the building and you start, getting developed and starting to add value to the team, the value is being added to you to get your career ready, right?
Was it Klein?
Uh,
Was it Joe Klein?
Joe
Was it Klein?
Klein, Joe, you're gonna make me watch the program tonight, bro. I'm gonna go buy that on Amazon.
I've got it on DVD, bro. That's one of the oldest
Not
DVDs I've got.
DVD.
Yes, sir. Throw it in the PlayStation 3. Watch it.
DVD, man. You said that. Wow. DVD. I love that, man.
Heck yeah.
Oh my god, I could go so many places. I had DeAndre Baker as well. I love DeAndre Baker. I'm a I'm an old school like hard hitter in the secondary. Always grab me, but I gotta add Keely Ringo in there, man. I mean, the interception versus Bama to seal the deal. I mean, it just sticks out of my head. And between him and Dalen Everett, right? They were guys that came in so high potential and they hit a learning curve where they had a couple rough years, right? And so to see Dalen finish out how he did and Keely to be a big, one of the big things I remember is when he made that catch and everybody was like, "What in the hell are you doing? Like, get down, get down, get down!" And he's like, and he
Kirby's
scores, and
jumping up and down, yanked his
yeah,
visor off, telling him to get down, and he just, nope, I got a clear path, coach. I got, the
crazy,
convoy out in front. I'm good.
crazy, man. Moving on, man. Who you got at linebacker? No linebackers a spot you really love. Lot to choose from here. Who did you settle in on for two? We can only name two. If you want to do honorable mention, you can.
Are we going? Okay, so,
Let's go one honorable mention and your two that you landed on.
all right. So I'm going CJ, okay, as my honorable
Okay.
mention,
Okay.
and I'm taking Roquan.
Okay.
I
You can give me two
love,
though. You can give me two real ones. Your honorable mention can be outside of it.
okay. Yeah, I
So you
mean,
want
my
CJ
one,
and Roquan?
yeah, I'm going CJ and Roquan because they are very similar and not more than just their number, their size, their football IQ, their ability to stop the run, which I love a middle linebacker that just can find the hole. Like he had a nose for the ball, Roquan did. And still to this day, like I can't believe he got robbed from defensive rookie of the year for the Bears. He was on a team with Khalil Mack when Khalil Mack was in his prime and his heyday, and he led the team in tackles on like one of the better defenses in the NFL and got no love. Absolutely none. And I just can't believe it. Now he's doing his thing for the Ravens, and that's why I like what the Ravens now that they've added Malachi is definitely one of my favorite teams to watch in the NFL because I love watching our defense go to the NFL and like take all the skills and everything they learned and make a awesome career out of it. Like, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what's happening. That's what Kirby's doing. He's putting these guys, he's getting them ready more so than anyone, I think, like at a higher level than any other coach in college football right now. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, then you need to take a step back because that's what people need to want, man. That's what these young kids want. Most of them, the ones who want to learn and get better and not just get a fat paycheck right off the rip. And that's the kind of guys Kirby wants, and that's the kind of team it's fun and I like to cheer for. Sorry, sorry.
Dude, give this man a round of applause, man. Dude, you're speaking the truth, man, because it doesn't happen anymore. Like it just doesn't happen anymore, man. And Kirby Smart is keeping it real, man. And like these guys are this is why, you look at I mean, I'm ready to jump out of my seat right now for the upcoming season. And so this keeps me calm, but this is why we talk about the other parts of the SEC because if all we did was talk Georgia football all summer, I'd probably be ready to run through this screen right now.
You ain't
Um,
lying. Oh my god.
I'm agreeing to you with Roquan. I was very fond of Roquan. Excuse me, let me reverse. My honorable mention is Nakobe Dean. I agree with everything you said. I think for an undersized linebacker to have so much smart and so much drive, motivation, and never letting anybody. He was a great cover linebacker. He was. I think he's a great honorable mention for Kirby Smart. I don't want to leave CJ out of here, but unfortunately, the two I have are going to leave him out. Um, but Roquan's obviously one of them. The other one, man, I'll never forget watching the Black Squad um, on uh, on G Day, and I saw this guy's number, and I go, he's going to be something special. And the first year, he was special, not to the extent he was the second year. But man, Jalen Walker, man, was just the real deal, man. And I had a heart for him because he just played to the style that I loved in a linebacker. And hope we see some flashes this year of Jalen and Chris Cole and Justin Williams and some of these guys and Zayden Walker. But yeah, man. So that was a tough one, and there's so many more, man. I mean, that I can go back. I mean, we can name linebackers for days, man. So let's move on. Let's talk. I mean, we could even you can calculate Nolan Smith in there, who did play outside linebacker a little bit.
Don't forget
Man,
Channing Tindall was a good one too. He was part of
yeah, I was
that
gonna say,
2021 defense, man. He was a unspoken hero
yeah, man,
because the man had some top level speed and he could flush creep quarterbacks out of the pocket and make them really uncomfortable. He's a guy. He's like my number 2 or 3 honorable mention has to be. Can't forget him.
yeah, man. I cheated you. I knew if I cheated, you'd have to be like, "Whoa, I get one more then," which is cool, man. What about defensive end? I know we're crushing the defense right now, but let's stay on them. Defensive end, you get two. Who you got?
This is kind of a tough one. I don't know because of the way the defensive line works. You got edge and you got defensive end.
Yeah, I
I know
cheated a
that.
little bit. I mean, I used Jalen Walker, even though technically he played edge, but technically also in that scheme he played outside linebacker. So I
Yeah,
tell
I
you
mean
what, you put it
because
however you want to.
well, like Ojulari, like I see him. He's here on the list, and he was definitely more of an edge than an end because he would be in the two, standing up and not down, in the 3-point stance coming off the edge
Right,
when he blitzed.
right.
Um, and like I said, well, in that case, then Channing Tindall is going to be my other one. He's going to be my number 2 after Ojulari because I mean, I swear, in the championship game, like on one of the bigger plays that we had on a 2-point conversion that we stopped them from getting in that championship game, Bama, you see number 41 flying off the
Mhm.
edge and immediately made Bryce Young very uncomfortable where he had to flush out. And I can't remember if he threw it away or we ended up sacking him. I think he threw it away. But and it's things like that. Like he caused such havoc on the
Mhm.
end that other inside, players, would get the sack or get the number or get the stat, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. But the man
I
was
wish Aziz would have came back. I know that's being like selfish, but I really he came on so strong at the end of the year. I thought, man, he could have. Don't get me wrong, he's having great seasons, but to have one more year in that system, like
I
I
wish he
don't
would
know,
have came back too. I
yeah,
was hoping. God, I was hoping. He was one of the that's one of the players that I was like more hurt that we, didn't get to see him play another year. I was really hoping. I thought he was going to come back. I really did.
yeah. Um, I got I got Michael Williams. I think I got Michael Williams because I saw what our defensive line looked like without Michael, and I saw when Michael played even hurt on that defensive line when he came back too soon and he was taking on, chip blocks and things of that nature. And so Michael for me fit in right there. And Aziz is probably an honorable mention for me, but my number one in this list and Trayvon Walker, I just think, man, I mean, number
He was
one,
awesome.
number one pick. I mean,
God,
to Jacksonville, Trayvon Walker. And so, man,
got four
I think
three
Trayvon
forty.
Walker has to be my first. So yeah, all good picks though, man. I mean, I think anybody would take that on an all Kirby Smart team, any four of those guys. But it is tricky how they line up as well. A defensive tackle. I have this eerie feeling we're going to pick the same two. But I tell you what, you pick one, I pick the other, and let's see if they were both on our list. Who you got as
Okay,
your one?
okay, one. Okay,
I could
all
be
right.
wrong.
I well,
I'll let you pick both. It's fine.
no, 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 no. I'm going Jalen Carter
Okay.
after the year after Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt left, when the D
Okay.
line was all him, when he was the man. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Uh, when I'll never forget when he in the SEC championship when he got to Nussmeier and just picked him up and was like, "Yo, like, what do you want me to do with this?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love that man, and like
Yes, yes, yes.
that's what he did all year. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, it wasn't just the 1 or 2 games, it was all year. Like, he was one of the more disruptive defensive tackles that I've ever seen, especially in the Kirby Smart, if we're narrowing it to the Kirby Smart era. I mean, he was unusually quick for a defensive lineman, and he wasn't the tallest guy, but he was built like a, freight train, like he was strong, he was quick off the jump, off the snap. He had good swim
Yeah.
moves, good spin moves. Like he could just very disruptive, one of the most disruptive defensive tackles I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. No, I agree. So, so if I'm hearing correctly, just make sure I got the 2 names. I know you got Jalen, and then you said Jordan Davis?
Oh, Jordan Davis.
Yeah. Yeah, me and you have the same exact, I don't think there's any 2 right now, until after this year, we'll see if, who's gonna vie for that, all right, well, I mean, that's a solid defense. Let's tackle offense real quick. Uh, Offensive line will go a little bit quicker because we're just going one of each. So let's start out with uh, let's do this. I know I know we got 2 guards on. Let's do a center. Let's do a guard. Let's do a tackle. Um, who you got for center? How about this though? How about this? Let's just do top 3 offensive linemen. Period. Right. Make it interesting. Let's do top 3 offensive linemen. Um, and I'll go first in this one. We haven't. I think we may have the same ones, but I will say that Andrew Thomas was one of the biggest prize possessions, if you want to call it, for Kirby Smart when he was, him and Sam Pittman were, starting to get this line to play at an elite level. Um, and then for me, like, man, like this is tough, but man, Amarius Mims has always been somebody who's near and dear to my heart, man. He just he just always just kept his head down, did his thing, wasn't really the hype that everybody was talking about. But man, you go back and I used to remember watching the film guy, and the guy just took up so much space, man. So there's so many more that can be in that area. And then I think the last one that comes to mind, even though he's not, everybody's like top tier maybe, but I think one of the better centers that we've had in a long, long time was Cedric Van Pran. Like I think he
He
was
was great.
undervalued, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, and you can don't get me wrong, you can go a lot of different ways. I think we could probably do 5 offensive linemen, but those are 3 that stick out to me as an all Kirby Smart team. Who do you got? 3 offensive linemen.
No. Well, and I'm leaving, you know. Okay, so I agree with you on Andrew Thomas. He was really good. Really, really a great tackle. Really, really good, really quick feet. If the man was blocking had your blind side protected, then you didn't have to worry about anything. Um, which I think is why some of our quarterbacks had as much success as they did. Um, I'm trying to go off the off list a little, but it's hard because Solomon
It's a
Kinley,
good list, man. It's a good list.
bro, Solomon Kinley was a beast, and still is a beast. But he was great, and plus I love the name. I like Solomon as a first name. I think that's awesome.
Hmm.
And I'm a bit of an emotional picker too. Like, oh, I like this guy's name. I like this guy's number. But that's just who I am. Um, Solomon Kinley was great. Solomon Kinley
Yeah.
was great, and you're right about Van Pron because that's a very, very important position, and it's one of those positions where if you do your job, then but you never get a lot of like praise, no matter how good you do your job, because if you do your job, you're just doing your job, because that's what you're supposed to do,
Yeah.
and I hate that for centers because center is one of the like probably the most important position on the offensive line outside of the tackle, the blind side tackle.
Yeah. It's hard, man. There's so many good, and you also have to be like, man, like you start thinking about offensive linemen, and you're like, bro, wasn't there more? And there are. I mean, you could have gone. I mean, guys who got drafted just this past year who are going to do big things. But um, what about special teams, punt return, kick return guy? Who you got in that box?
I'm picking recent for this one. And if he had been on any of these teams, our championship teams or previous teams, even the 2018 team, with Sony and Nick, Zach Branch,
Mm-hmm.
because that's my daughter just latched onto him like my 9-year-old, like that's her favorite player. Favorite player. Went to the
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky game. He had a good game, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because he's a little guy. I don't know if it's because he was number one. I don't know, but she loves him. But at the same time, you can't deny that the man, you know, and I always worry about fumbling punt returns, but that's one thing that this guy didn't do. Like he held on to the ball, he got us a few yards. I mean, a good punt returner average is what, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 yards, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like it's not, you don't need 20, 30 yard averages, to be a good punt returner. And that's what he was. He didn't fumble and he got positive yards.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's hard. I'm very. This one was a hard one because I was like, I know I got to go dig a little bit, right? It's easy, to go the most recent, but I went and I grabbed this one, the human joystick. You know who this was? The Isaiah McKenzie. I went and pulled
Yeah,
this from a ways back, man, and
he was
under
good.
Kirby, like I just remember 5'8", just
I saw
shifty.
something about those little guys, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And that's why it was hard because I was like, man, I was like, Zach, him they're kind of the same. But what I remembered about, Isaiah McKenzie was also, was he was brought in to just return punts and kicks, and they thought that would be the extent of it, right? And he ended up going in there, and being a huge addition in the wide receiver room, which obviously we know Zach Brandt was brought in to do both, but heavily to be at the wide receiver position. So I went off the beaten path a little bit with that one because I just remember how much I just really I liked Isaiah McKenzie. I went pretty deep. It was back in um, the early Kirby Smart days. So
And,
all right, let's
and,
move
and
on. We're gonna get to the meat and potatoes here. Uh,
it's, hold on,
shall
I just want to
we?
say sorry I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
can't talk about Georgia returners, and I know we're talking Kirby era. I know. But I just want to give a shout out to Brandon Boykin,
Brandon
who
Boykin, man.
is
Yeah,
the all-time best return guy that Georgia has ever had. one of the better
Brandon
ones,
Boykin.
one of the best
Yeah,
ones. Loved him, man. Loved him. One of my all-time favorite Georgia players. I know that's not what we're doing, but I just had to say that. I would be remiss if I
yeah,
didn't mention my guy.
yeah, man. That's what was here's a quiz for everybody. Who was the short guy who every year, man, he had these insane G-Day games with these returns, punt returns, and he never could crack the lineup at receiver, and he finally transferred out. I cannot think of his name. It's going to be on the tip of my tongue, but when I say it, you're going to be like, "Yep, I remember." I think you wore 87. Um, let me see here what we got. Shortest player
Oh,
number.
it started with an M, I think. My Hughes or something. He's got a name that once you hear it, like like because I had forgotten about him. Then I was watching the game this year and I heard his name, but I can't remember what school it was. But yeah,
Okay,
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name.
is it Malik? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
But it's on the tip of my tongue. Uh, I think we can all just say this at the same time. Tight end. Shall we say it at the same time? Brock
Darnell
Bowers. I
Washington.
mean,
Wait, I mean Brock
wait,
Bowers.
I like Darnell,
Me
but
too, but no,
I don't think
no, I'm
anybody
sorry.
would.
I'm sorry.
I don't think if you put the multiple choice, there might be one person to pick Darnell, but yeah, Brock Bowers, man. I mean, I can't even. I'm hearing about how the Raiders and this new coach from Seattle's coming in talking about just how crazy, insane talented that Brock Bowers is. And man, I hope that Brock Bowers comes back towards this way. That's all I'll say. And when he gets ready to leave Las
Love it.
Vegas. All
Oh,
right.
love it.
So three receivers. We're in a little speed up mode here. Who you got? 3 best receivers to come through in the Kirby Smart era that you like on the all Kirby Smart team. Who you got, Fish?
Number one is AD, biggest playoff performer. Always had a touchdown every playoff game he played in at Georgia and Texas. Touchdown.
Like it. I
Man
like it.
scored. The man knew how to score, and I wish he didn't transfer out. Not real sure. I mean, I know why, and I get it, and I'm not going to fault him for, chasing whatever he needed to do, to make himself happy because that's what they all should do, and that's what they're all doing. Um, AD number one, easy. Lad number three, and number two is kind of tricky because I like George Pickens, but I didn't like his not attitude, but the antics, I guess. He kind of cost us in a couple of games with some, 15-yard penalties. He also made some
Yeah.
huge catches in the national championship game against Bama. He made a couple of really, really, really big catches for us. Um, Hard not to say him, but number two is hard. Like, Lad's right there at number three because Lad was good, but I think Lad's better in the NFL than he was at Georgia. Not that he didn't make good catches, but
Yeesh, man, I love Lad at Georgia. But
yeah,
I get
me
it.
too.
You're talking about just as far as how it stacks up. I get that.
Yeah.
Um,
But AD all day, number one.
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. I dug deep on this one. Okay. I want to tell you that the first one that came to mind was Lab McConkey. I think it's on a lot of our lists. I don't think you can hold off on Zach Rant. I think he was the wide receiver offense last year for Georgia.
Yeah,
I
always.
definitely think he would be on the wide receiver all Kirby Smart team. The third one was much harder, but I'm gonna tell you who. Man, okay. Honorable mentions. I'll honorable mention this first off, and okay. So Riley Ridley was the guy that
Dude, he was
man just
awesome.
made some really good catches for
How did I
Georgia.
forget about him? I didn't do
Yeah,
enough
right.
research, and I apologize.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. I totally get it. So he was in my list and of honorable mentions, and then another honorable mention that I have is Dylan Bell. I just
That was
think he
good.
would be on
Mr.
there, but
Utility.
yeah, Mr. Utility. But so Lad is on there. Zachariah Branch is on there, and my third one for me, this was very tough. But it was between Pickens. For me, it was between Pickens and I lost my notes here. You're gonna be like, what the hell are you talking about here? But it was between Pickens and Arian Smith, man. And I'll tell you why.
Oh, I
I'll
love
tell
me
you
some
why.
Arian Smith.
It's
I was a
because
big
of
fan of
the
his.
clutchness of that Arian had when he needed. I mean, there's something about how Arian Smith just continued to get beat up, man. By me too. I probably did it too. We did it. But I gave it to George Pickens because I do understand what you're saying, but I do think Pickens was an elite receiver
He
for
was.
Georgia, and but Arian Smith was very close to being just right there in the fold, man. Running backs. Who you got, Fish? You got two. I know we could pick four, but you got two.
My favorite was Chubb. I was big, big, big Nick Chubb fan, and it's hard not to be. I think he was just above Sony, just above Sony. Um, he was like, dude, that Oklahoma game, second half, okay, second half of that Oklahoma game, the Rose Bowl, okay, was one of the best halves of football as a Georgia fan that I've ever seen. Uh, Not a big Fromm fan, you know, but he did his thing that year, and he had a huge play in that fourth quarter, which is one of the main reasons we scored that touchdown to tie it up, send it to overtime on that last drive. That little scramble and shovel pass or whatever he did, that little
Yeah,
underneath, you know. But our running backs bailed us out of that game, and probably two of the top five running backs that Georgia's ever had, much less Kirby Smart era.
right. I'm looking at my notes, man, because this was another hard one for me. Um, honorable
There's a lot
mention.
to choose from.
Honorable mention. So first off, Chubb is my number one in there. I'm with you with that. My honorable mention though is Sony and James Cook. Those
Well,
two are my
James
honorable
Cook,
mentions.
MVP of that championship season. In the game, especially the man. Oh my God, kept receiving out of the backfield.
But here's the man that I had as my second, and I have his jersey hanging in my closet right now, and that is Mr. DeAndre Swift. Came in at second for me. I like Swifty. I'll never forget how he tore Auburn up in that SEC championship game that I was at in Atlanta, and it was a nice sight to see, man. And I was like, I can't have DeAndre Swift, who went crazy on Auburn, live in Atlanta and not put him on the list, man. So yeah. All right, man. We're gonna finish it up with let's do this. Punter and kicker. Punter and kicker. We don't want to leave this out. I know these are easy for me. But who do you got? Punter and kicker. Punter, yeah. Punter first and kicker.
Goggles, Rodrigo. Easy. Might not have had a stellar NFL career. He's giving it another try though. And I hope it works out for him this time because the man he's got talent and none better. One of our outside of Kevin Butler and Blair Walsh, I think probably the best kicker that Georgia's ever had. Top 3 right there. Punter. Oh my God, his name is escaping me right now.
Was it Camarda?
Yeah. No.
Not Jay Camarda. You just want Nislack?
No,
or
the
Thorson.
guy.
Thorson?
Thorson.
The Aussie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the Aussie. Yeah, that's mine. That man could boom it. And if he hadn't gotten hurt in the SEC championship, I think when he came back the next year, I think he was off a little bit. I think the injury kind of messed him up a little bit, took a little bit away from his game.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. Like Thorson and Camarda to me were a tight race. I still think Camarda goes down as one of the best punters in the Kirby Smart era. But yeah, I mean, of course, Thorson would be honorable mention right there at punter. And yeah, I got Hot Rod, man. I mean, you can't. Everybody had a 99 jersey, man. Right? Nope. Wrong number, right? He was 98, right?
98.
98. What the freak am I thinking? Jordan Davis was 99. 98. I used to remember because it was 98 Braves, right? Yeah, man. So and then quarterback, might be controversial. I don't know. But who you got?
Oh,
I mean, obviously statistically wise, I know maybe who you got, but I'm curious if you went off the rails.
I owe him this pick because I was one of the biggest nags on him, even after Natty number 1. Okay. Like I was hoping he was going to ride off into the sunset after that and we'd be gone and I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. And then he came back and won another one and I don't know anything. So Stetson Bennett.
He didn't go Carson Beck?
Never. Yeah, him and Jacob Eason were right there neck and neck for number 1, bro.
This sucks, man, because let's just say we have 2 picks. So you get Stetson. Who you got as your second one? I mean, we obviously know
2018 Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
Not sophomore Jake Fromm, not junior Jake Fromm, freshman Jake Fromm.
Obviously.
We had that game in the bag, man. Busted coverage. Coverage. One of the best safeties to play for Georgia. And one of the interception leaders all time for Georgia. Didn't he break Kirby's record? I can't think of his name right now. He was number 24. And he was the guy who gave up that touchdown, 2nd and 18 or 2nd and 26, whatever it was. He was the guy who was out of position. Yeah. That's hard to say. It's hard to believe.
Don't bring that up, man. That's a whole nother.
Sorry.
That's a whole nother bender. You got to go on.
I just wanted to give Bama fans something to enjoy. If they're watching us.
Yeah, man.
Give them a good memory. Exactly. Dude, that would be so awesome.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Oh, summer countdown started for me, Ben. AGT first episode was Tuesday night, so it's on.
Yeah.
It's the official countdown to football.
It's on, man.
It's on. No, off the top of my head.
All right, we got to start that next episode. Maybe we'll do something funny. Hanging out.
Yes, sir. Go dog.